Hello, everyone, and welcome to Speak Up. If you're new here, we're so happy you found us. And if you've been with us before, thank you for coming back. Before we begin, a quick request. Please hit subscribe. It helps us reach more people who, just like you, want to grow and keep moving forward.
Today, we're diving into a topic that touches every single one of us: how to be successful in life. Success isn't just about money or status, it's about meaning, balance, and the choices we make every day. That's why this episode matters. And by the end, you'll see success in a way that feels closer, more personal, and more achievable.
Exactly. We'll keep this conversation simple, practical, and real. No big theories, just clear reflections you can carry with you. Success is something we all want, but it often feels out of reach. We want to change that feeling for you today.
So stick with us. Over the next half hour, we'll explore how success shows up in small steps, in mindset, in relationships, and in living with purpose. If you've ever asked yourself, am I really successful? This episode is for you. Let's begin.
You know, success is such a strange feeling. Sometimes it's joy, sometimes it's relief, and honestly, sometimes it's even confusing. We imagine it will feel like fireworks, like the moment you achieve it, you'll finally be complete. But often, it's quieter than that. Maybe it's a smile when you realize you overcame something small. Maybe it's that deep breath after finishing a task you thought would break you. I think what's interesting is how success rarely looks or feels like the picture we had in our minds when we started.
Yes, and I love that you said quieter, because so many times success doesn't come with applause or celebration. It just sort of arrives softly, almost unnoticed. It might feel like relief after a tough week, or gratitude when you realize you've grown in a way no one else can see. But then there's also that confusion, right? That moment when you reach something you thought would make you happy, and it doesn't feel the way you expected. I think those moments teach us a lot about what success really is and what it's not.
Exactly. And I think we all carry this picture of success that comes from outside voices, maybe from family, society, or even social media. We think it has to be this big, dramatic event. But if we really pause, a lot of success is found in smaller places, like keeping a promise to yourself or having the courage to try again after failing. Those aren't things that usually show up in headlines, but they shape who we are. Let me ask you, when was the last time you felt successful in a small, almost ordinary way?
That's a good question, and I think it's one that everyone listening should ask themselves too. For me, one of the last times was when I managed to stay calm in a situation that would have made me anxious before. It wasn't dramatic, no one even noticed, but I noticed. And that feeling of growth, that was success. I think those little wins matter so much because they remind us we're moving forward, even when progress feels invisible. It's in those moments that success becomes deeply personal.
Yes. And I think sometimes success isn't even about achieving something. It's about realizing you're no longer the same person you used to be. Like you look back and see how far you've come, and there's this mix of pride and disbelief. And that's powerful because it shows success isn't always something you chase. Sometimes it's something you realize after the fact. It sneaks up on you like a quiet companion walking beside you all along.
That's beautiful, Ryan, because it reminds us that success is more of a feeling than a trophy. And feelings can't always be measured or explained. They're just lived. So maybe the real invitation here is to notice those moments more, to pay attention to the subtle shifts, the quiet growth, the little sparks of relief or joy that tell us, yes, I'm moving forward. And maybe that's what success feels like. Not a destination, but a collection of living moments we often overlook.
You know, when we think about success, it's easy to picture these big moments, the finish lines, the celebrations, the achievements that everyone notices. But most of the time, real progress is built in quiet, ordinary days. It's in the decision to get up and try again, even when no one's watching. It's in those repeated, almost invisible actions that slowly, quietly shape who we're becoming. And honestly, I think that's where the real power lies. Not in one huge step, but in hundreds of small ones that build into something greater.
Yes, and I think that's such an important shift in perspective. Because when we only focus on the big picture, it can feel overwhelming, even impossible. But when we break it down into small steps, one phone call, one page written, one walk taken, suddenly it feels doable. And the beauty of it is, most of those small steps go unnoticed by others, but they matter. They're like invisible threads weaving together the fabric of our success. And when you look back, you realize those tiny choices created something you couldn't have imagined at the start.
I like that image, invisible threads. It reminds me of how easy it is to underestimate the little things, like choosing patience when it would have been easier to snap, or showing up when you felt like giving up. Those moments don't usually come with applause, but they quietly build strength. And maybe that's why small steps are so powerful, because they're not about proving something to others. They're about proving something to yourself. Step by step, you realize you're stronger, steadier, and closer to where you want to be.
Exactly, and I think that's why people sometimes miss the feeling of progress, because it doesn't always announce itself. It doesn't always shout, "Look at me, you're doing it." Progress often whispers. It whispers when you stick with a routine, when you choose to try again, when you resist giving up. And those whispers are easy to ignore, but they're the ones that lead you quietly towards something bigger. The truth is, most successes are built on a foundation of days that felt ordinary, even dull. But they were building something extraordinary.
And maybe that's why patience is such an underrated part of success. Because small steps take time, and it's tempting to want instant results. But if you think about it, the things that last, the skills, the relationships, the personal growth, they rarely happen overnight. They're shaped slowly in those quiet moments we don't always notice. I think there's something grounding, even comforting in that, knowing you don't have to do it all at once. You just have to keep moving, little by little.
Yes, and I think when we embrace that, we begin to see success less as a finish line and more as a journey we're walking every single day. Every step counts, even the ones that feel too small to matter. Because when you put them together, they tell a story of resilience, of showing up, of becoming who you're meant to be. And I think that's the quiet power of small steps. They're easy to overlook, but they're also impossible to replace.
I think one of the biggest myths about success is that it's all about working harder, longer, faster. We're told that if we just keep grinding, we'll eventually make it. But the truth is, sometimes endless hustle doesn't lead to progress. It just leads to exhaustion. And what's surprising is that real growth often comes when we pause, when we give ourselves a chance to breathe, reflect, and recharge. What if slowing down is actually the fastest way forward? It sounds strange, but I think there's a lot of truth in that.
Yes, and I feel that deeply because we live in a world that celebrates being busy, almost like it's a badge of honor. But being busy isn't the same as being successful. Sometimes balance is what really brings us closer to our goals. Rest allows clarity, and clarity allows us to move with direction instead of just spinning in circles. I think we underestimate how much strength comes from stillness. It's not about doing nothing. It's about finding the space to realign so when you move with purpose.
That's so true. And, I've noticed that the hardest times in my life weren't solved by working harder. They were solved by stepping back and seeing the bigger picture. Hustle might win a sprint, but life isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. If we burn ourselves out too soon, what's the point of success if we can't even enjoy it? I think it's powerful to remind ourselves that rest isn't a weakness. It's actually part of the process, part of the work itself.
Exactly, and I think that shift changes everything. When we see rest as productive, balance as necessary, and clarity as powerful, we start treating ourselves differently. We stop chasing success like it's some race we have to win, and instead we start creating success that feels sustainable. And maybe that's where true achievement lies, not in how much we can do, but in how well we can care for ourselves while doing it. Success isn't just reaching a goal, it's arriving there whole, not broken.
And maybe that's the part no one talks about. Success loses its meaning if it costs us our health, our peace, or our relationships. What good is the title, the money, the recognition if you're too drained to enjoy it? That's why slowing down isn't about laziness, it's about preserving what matters. Success isn't measured by how fast you get there, but by how alive you feel when you arrive. And that, I think, is something worth holding on to.
Yes, and I think if more of us believed that, we'd stop comparing ourselves to others and start listening more closely to ourselves. We'd measure success not in hours worked, but in meaning lived. And that's a radical shift, isn't it? To see balance, rest, and clarity not as distractions, but as essential ingredients. Maybe the next time we feel guilty for slowing down, we can remind ourselves slowing down isn't falling behind. Sometimes it's the very thing carrying us forward.
You know, when I think about success, my mind doesn't always jump to career or goals first. It goes to the people who've stood beside me. Success can look like that moment when someone believes in you before you believe in yourself. It's those quiet, "you've got this" conversations, those small acts of encouragement that carry you further than you thought possible. When I think back, some of my greatest milestones weren't trophies or promotions, but the friendships and trusts that made the journey feel less lonely.
I feel that deeply, Ryan, because sometimes the success we crave isn't about proving ourselves. It's about being seen and loved for who we are. Think about the last time someone really listened to you, without judgment, without distraction. That moment stays with you, doesn't it? It's like a landmark on your path, showing you that you're not walking alone. And maybe, just maybe, that's one of the most overlooked forms of achievement, building bonds that last longer than applause.
Exactly. And it's funny, isn't it? We're often told that success is about independence, standing strong on your own. But the truth is, the people who lift us, who challenge us, who even hold us accountable, they're part of every success story. I think about my parents, mentors, friends, moments when a simple word of trust gave me courage I didn't have. That's the kind of success I could never achieve in isolation.
Yes, and that connection changes how we see ourselves, too. When someone trusts us, it's like they're holding up a mirror to our potential. Suddenly we rise to meet it. Success in relationships is mutual. It's in the laughter we share, the forgiveness we offer, the resilience we build together. Those aren't things you can measure on a chart, but they're the kind of victories that make life worth celebrating.
I think that's why when we look back years from now, we won't only remember the awards or goals checked off a list, we'll remember the hand we held during a hard time, the late-night talks, the moments of kindness that changed the course of our lives. Success isn't just about where we go, it's about who's walking with us. And that realization reshapes the entire definition of achievement.
That's beautifully said, Ryan. And maybe that's the heart of it. Success is richer, fuller when it's shared. Think of the people in your own life who make your story brighter. Their encouragement, their trust, their love. Those are milestones just as real as any goal you'll ever reach. Sometimes the greatest success is simply being surrounded by those who remind you of your worth.
You know, Clara, I've been thinking, success can feel really hollow if it's not connected to something deeper. You could achieve every milestone, tick off every box, but if it doesn't align with who you are, your values, your heart, it almost feels like you're living someone else's story. I've had moments where I've reached a goal I worked so hard for, and instead of joy, there was this emptiness. That's when it hit me. Maybe real success isn't about how much we achieve, but about whether those achievements actually make us feel alive, connected, at peace.
I can completely relate to that, Ryan. I remember finishing a project that I thought would bring me so much pride. Everyone around me celebrated, but inside I felt strangely disconnected. It didn't match my deeper purpose. And that's such an important question for all of us. Are we chasing goals that truly belong to us, or ones we've inherited from expectations, comparisons, or fear? When success lines up with our values, it carries a sense of ease, even if the road is tough. There's a quiet knowing, a sense that, yes, this matters to me.
Exactly. And maybe that's the difference between fleeting success and lasting fulfillment. One fades after the applause ends, but the other lingers in the quiet moments when no one's watching. Sometimes it's as simple as asking ourselves, what do I want my success to actually feel like? Not what it looks like from the outside, but what it feels like in my bones. That question has a way of cutting through the noise. It's not easy, but when we sit with it, we start to see what really matters.
Yes, and I love how you said sit with it, because finding that alignment isn't something we can rush. It's more like letting a seed grow. We might not have the full answer right away, but if we stay open, it begins to reveal itself in small ways. For me, purpose shows up when I feel connected to people, to creativity, to making even a tiny difference. It's never about being perfect, it's about being true. And when success grows from that space, it doesn't just look right, it feels right.
That's beautiful, Clara. And I think that's the heart of it. Living aligned with purpose gives success its soul. Without it, success feels incomplete, like a song missing its melody. But when we find it, there's harmony, even in the struggles. Listeners, maybe just take a moment right now, wherever you are, pause, breathe, and gently ask yourself, what do I want my success to actually feel like? Don't rush the answer. Let it come softly, like a whisper.
Yes. And maybe that question is enough for today. Not to solve, but to carry with you, like a quiet companion. Success isn't a finish line. It's a rhythm that feels right for your life. So as we close, I invite you to hold on to that thought, let it linger, let it shape you in ways words can't fully describe. Because sometimes the most powerful answers come in the silence after the question.
As we wrap up today's conversation, I hope something in these words stays with you. Maybe a reminder that success isn't just about reaching the top, but about how we move, who we walk with, and why we're walking in the first place. Thank you for sharing this space with us today. It truly means a lot that you choose to spend your time here.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. We know your time is precious, and we try our best to make every minute you spend with us feel valuable. If today's episode gave you even a one thought to carry forward, then it's been worth it. Take care of yourself, and we'll meet again in the next conversation.